Welcome to the Kayla Ambrose Show. I'm your host, Kayla, here with my best friend, Nikki Case. Hey, Nikki.
Hello.
We were just goofing around with the microphones earlier and playing with our NPR voices, trying to have that beautiful sound.
They
And
always sound so like calm and like reserved and just it's very soothing, which maybe that's why it makes me a little sleepy when I listen. Um, this is about the opposite, most opposite from my personality as I could possibly be, talking this calmly.
um, I agree, Nikki. I think it's because of the Christmas cookies you're making.
Killing me here, girl. Uh,
Are they tasty?
they are very tasty. They're my Christmas cookies are quite tasty.
But not moist. We just don't want them to be moist.
Not too moist. Oh, how many times can we say the word moist? I know that is a favorite word of many of our listeners.
That's right. Speaking of listeners, hello, listeners.
We do have an audience here, presumably, and they're getting a little peek into the craziness of Kayla and
We did
Nikki.
have an audience.
We did. They're gone. They're gone. If this was like live radio, there'd be no one left listening.
Sure, like what is going on? We're here for Journey Bracelets. What is this journey? Nikki and I love comedy and Saturday Night Live and all those skits, if you know what we're alluding to there. So we won't say any
Christmas
more about it,
time.
except we're huge
Mhm.
fans, long
Yes.
time watchers, big fans.
And I would like to point out that this to me is a great this sort of example of you can be highly spiritual and metaphysical and deeply feeling profound people and be ridiculous goofballs at the same time.
I think it's a priority, right? Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
even Buddha said you have to laugh at yourself. If you can't laugh at yourself, you're not spiritual. And like we laugh at ourselves all the time
Yes, we do.
and
You
at,
have to.
and at each other and about everything really. We
I
have so
never
much
laugh at you.
fun. I mean, that's the best part of this thing. Doing this together is like, okay, it's great. We're smart, we're brilliant, we're making these awesome things. You're a scientist, I'm a psychic. That's awesome. But we just have a lot of fun doing it? Um, in fact, I think speaking of things we love, we really should have a practical magic night with the lime and the coconut
Oh,
and make some break.
oh, yes. Oh my gosh. We can have midnight margarita journey bracelets.
I think that needs to happen for this October.
I think so too. I'm definitely, and we need
Imagine
to
that
have a
energy.
podcast episode.
For sure. That would be great. We'll have to work on that. But welcome, everyone. Welcome to the journey, the lavish goods, lavishgoods.com. Kayla and Nikki here. Somewhere roaming around Nikki's house is Phoebe the cat, our other employee, but she likes a little nap time. She gets a lot of, she gets a lot of time off, actually.
She
She,
does.
she's more of an overseer of our work than anything, but
I think that's a good way to describe it. And I think a lot of cats would describe themselves as sort of overlords.
she's just there to check our work.
Yeah, she does a very good job. She's very thorough.
You can see a picture of Phoebe on our website, on the About Us part of our website there, if you want to see her hard at work. So moving on, we're going to talk today about a bracelet called Astral Traveler, going into the higher realms. And so we're kind of, in that little happy, buzzy mood right now, just like, okay, let's go there and talk about it. Um, it's really all about past lives when you talk about Astral Traveler. We built that bracelet saying, are you curious? Do you remember a past life or do you want to? Do you think there's stuff from that other lifetime you brought into this lifetime that you are still trying to figure out? Maybe there's still karma from it. Maybe you're still reliving it. Maybe that's why certain people are in your life and you're like, why is this person in my life? Oh, it's a past life thing. I'm stuck with them until I figure this out. So we created this bracelet. It's very different, right? We're talking about last week was releasing grief, something very specific. This is as open as you can get on the other way. Like, hey, do you want to explore your akashic records, your past lives, when you might have lived in Egypt or Greece or wherever? Who's back in your life because of it? Who didn't you finish something with, or who did you want to do more with? Right? Nikki and I have connections like that, past life connections. We remember doing all kinds of things, good and bad. And things we've been up to and we've learned and we're all the better for it, I think. And we're still exploring and doing all of that. So if you feel a connection with that, maybe it's a part of the world you don't live, but you're like, oh, always just felt this way when I think about Greece or the Mediterranean or Egypt or whatever, that's probably a past life calling to you. I feel like I can describe parts of Ireland in great detail. I've never been to Ireland, but I'm telling you, I feel like, and I have tested this because years ago, my husband and I went to New York. I was on a book tour and I was speaking at all these stores. I did this whole like long book tour. And it wrapped up in New York City, it doing several locations, including the Learning Annex. And I told my husband, I really want to stay at the Waldorf Astoria. I have had dreams about this place since I was a kid. I feel like I know what it looks like. I know where to go. I even remember how the rooms looked. He was like, okay, let's do it. So I made a reservation for a room and just a very basic room, it's a lot of money being on book tour. You're always hotel, travel. So it was a lot. So I made just for a basic room. And I was like, you know what? I just know I was connected to this hotel. Like, felt like I even lived there for a while before. So we get there and my husband is doing something. I'm like, I'll go check us in. I go to check us in and the lady's like, we've been awaiting your arrival. Welcome. And I'm just like, wow, what a nice hotel. And she's like, no, we've gotten a notice to upgrade you. And I'm like, what? And I don't think they were even with a different hotel grouping or whatever it is. You get upgrades, Marriott, whatever. I don't think they were associated like that. But they're like, yeah, we're upgrading you. I was like, oh my gosh, and she's like, yeah, no extra cost or anything. Put us in this suite with like a living room and all the things. And I mean, it had a doorbell at the front. My husband's like, oh my gosh, because I didn't tell him. He's like, what is this costing, right? Because we're looking at like a just everything you see out all the windows, and it's all like looks like in a little apartment in New York. And I told them like, no, I got upgraded. They said they were waiting for me. And um, so we got our luggage, everything unpacked. And I'm like, okay, here's where I want to go. And I'm telling him in the hotel. And he's like, okay, it's really big, you wonder, it's, an older hotel, so it's not as easy to know where everything is. I knew where everything was. I'm like, I'm going to show you the tile of the floor in this room that I've always loved. He's like, what do you mean you've always loved? I knew everything about the building. I was like, no, here's a shortcut. Let's go here. Oh, here's this. Let's go. We have to go see this. Everything came back to me in full recall from my past life living there. That was very recent. I told him I even know the family name I was. I'm not going to say it on here, but I know what my name was before, the last name, surname, the whole thing. And I'm so grateful I got to go back because I was feeling every moment of it. And now it's since been bought, I think, by the Japanese. And I think they tore it apart on the inside, renovated it, turned it into condos. So now I wouldn't recognize it. It will never, does it look like that again? A lot of it was redone. So I'm so grateful I got to go see it, like how I remembered it in that other lifetime. I can't even imagine if I'd had Astral Travel bracelet to help even, you know, raise that energy for me to go and do and see. I was born back really strong with these abilities, but that's what we try to put in this bracelet is to help you have some of those abilities too and those connections if you want them. And um, for me, I'm not as caught up in past lives. They seem to appear to me when I need to work on something or connect with something. I came very full circle on that trip, going all over New York, remembering my past lifetime in New York and what I did there and where I lived. And as I traveled throughout the city and even in other parts of the state there of New York, I remembered my past life there and what I did and um where I went, just a whole lot of things there. So powerful and healing in so many ways. That's what I think is the best thing about a past life when you connect. You can see, is there anything in this lifetime I need to still go face or fix or do? And so um that's my intention with Astral Traveler, the part that I put into it that I wanted it to be. So that's my story, Nick. What's yours with Astral Traveler?
Well, first I have to acknowledge your experience with the Waldorf because I remember that very clearly. And until very recently, the picture that I had for you on my phone as your contact picture was a picture of you sitting on the couch in that room in the
Oh,
Waldorf. Yeah, I love that picture because I just remember your face was you were just like beaming. And I remember you sharing that experience with me. And it was just it was very cool. And so I just wanted to share that. Like I loved that. Um, what I love about this bracelet, and you touched on it, is that it, it is geared towards past lives. And that means that you could use this could be used on a journey for so many different things, like you said, like, why is this person in my life, or why does this keep happening, or what is the lesson pertaining to XYZ. And this, so that could be related to love, it could be related to your career, it could be related to someone in your birth family, things like that. And so I love that this could span so many different journeys within anyone's lives. And even the same wearer could use it for several different journeys related to different past lives.
we use some really, I call them kind of high end, maybe call them bougie stones in this bracelet, like chrysocolla.
Yeah, I love chrysocolla. So chrysocolla in this, and of course, like any of these, or most of the gemstones and crystals that we use, it could be in lots of different shapes or take different forms. And we've got it in sort of this little, I call it chiclets because they look like little chiclets to me. But it's sort of like a little pillow of this just sort of beautiful blue green chrysocolla. And it has that color. Yeah, I'll just talk here. It has that color because there's actually copper embedded inside of this mineral or inside this crystal. That's why it looks that way. And I love the aesthetic of that stone and in this particular shape. And energetically, it's just a really beautiful stone. It's with that bluish color, like it's very much associated with the throat chakra, helps create clear communication from heart and soul, and just helping when you're communicating for you to speak clearly and for people to hear you clearly, which can be really important if we're trying to figure out some lesson or working through some journey related to a past life.
No, that's really intriguing with the copper because, you see all the orgone things that are created, they've got the copper running through it.
Hmm.
A lot of talk about copper being used in ancient Egypt. And even now, there's still a lot of discoveries happening with copper, how it can help. Some even, don't they do copper on certain things on the body to help with, I don't know if it's the flow or something. I know there's a lot of copper bands and things people wear.
Yeah, I've seen that on, like, you can wear them like yeah, like bracelets almost. Like it's a band that you can wear on your wrist that I think the idea is it's supposed to improve circulation. I have not, full disclosure, I've not done a lot of research on that. The scientist in me always likes to look at those things. So I don't know a lot about that particular aspect, but yes, I have seen a lot of uses of copper in other areas like that.
Yeah, copper was used in a lot in alchemy back, in the day with alchemists practicing. It said that it really transmutes between here and the spiritual realms with the copper. So here it is, like a part of that bracelet. And to me, like all the other stones are the purple, activating the crown chakra and the third eye chakra and above. But then you've got that chrysocolla and those colors awakening with that copper energy. To me, that's like the battery that is kind of pushing the energy with that copper top battery like that pushing the energy to go ahead and help you go over there into the astral realms and to be able to get that information and bring it back. And so it's like we've kind of made an energy grid there, putting that putting the copper in that way. And I love this, how the stones naturally do this. We talked about snowflake obsidian the other day and water and light being encapsulated. You were talking about the flaking in the other podcast, in the layers,
Mhm.
moonstone. Here we've got this copper running through that makes the colors, but the copper is so necessary to really get that battery to run it etherically, I think, through the aura to activate that energy body to go over to the other side and be able to do that.
Yeah, I love that. And that's just another great example of when we put this together, we didn't think, we need to have this battery to help power us through the other side. It doesn't happen that way, right? It's just like, okay, we need to put this and this and this together. And how does this work? And does this feel good energetically? Like we go through that sort of iteration process. And then it's like, oh, hey, this happens to have copper in it. Isn't that amazing? No wonder this felt so good putting these things together because they work so well together, which is the whole idea of a journey bracelet is it's not just the aesthetic. It's not just the stones that we pick. It's the order that we put them in, and it's how they work together, and that synergistic effect when you put different crystals together. And so I love when we find after the fact, after we've sort of done the creation, that we're like, oh yeah, look at that, isn't that funny? But it's not funny. We know like it's very very much divinely guided.
It really is. Um, it's interesting because we're both very spiritual people and involved in our practices and metaphysical studies and all of those things. And it's interesting how this journey has put us on a journey as well with that in a different way. And, in my work, teaching, working with students and clients, there's a lot of work I do with the emotional layer and the mental layer, as well as a person's spiritual layer of what they're working on, right? Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? I do a lot of work like that with students as a wisdom teacher, but not as much with the body, being in the physical body. And these bracelets are really that touchstone and to really work on the body, but to bring the body into having a spiritual experience, a metaphysical experience,
Mhm.
right?
Look
And
at
that's
that.
our intention is to have something that's touching your body, but is going to transcend and awaken the aura of your body, awaken the energy centers, and say, "Come on this journey, let's go." So when you put it on, you're activating it. You, are putting these amazing cuffs on your body to do that. And so it's really good to be conscious, I think, when you put these on, to have a sense of what am I doing? What am I activating? And so that you align your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy with it, which is only going to make the experience that much more detailed and sensory for you. Um, could we have put any more amethyst in this bracelet, do you think?
There's never too much amethyst. I mean, I love amethyst, and it just well, one, it plays so nicely with the other stones in this particular stack, and it is, this is another example of starting and finishing, and I use air quotes when I say that. I know y'all can't see that, but because it is cyclical, right? There isn't necessarily a beginning and an ending to this journey. We cycle through, but if we're looking at it sort of linearly, it is a stack with amethyst as the first bracelet and as the last. And we don't always do that, but it energetically, that's what we needed in this bracelet. And I love that sort of connection between the beginning and the end. I think an image of an Ouroboros just popped into my head of, that we've got that cycle and the same stone at the start and at the finish. Um, and I just love amethyst. So it's just such a powerful stone. And it is one that you see a lot of, especially in, metaphysical circles, but there's a reason for that. It is incredibly calming and soothing, and it can be very detoxifying energetically. And I oftentimes I switch out every once in a while, but I have a pretty big amethyst geode that I have on my nightstand that I love having near me when I sleep for all of the properties that I just mentioned.
And the other stone is unicorn, which I think we both
Yes.
like are like, man, that is a hard working stone. It covers a lot.
Yeah, unicorn is amazing, I think, and we've talked about it a lot. It's a relatively, well, it's new in the sense of it's newly discovered, I should say. It's not new like it just formed a few years ago, like it, hundreds of millions of years old at least. And it's made of a number of other crystals. It's got pink tourmaline, lepidolite, and clear and smoky quartz. And those each of those in and of themselves are really powerful, amazing stones. And then you put them together and they're put together naturally, like it's a nature made crystal. And you've got the properties of all of those sort of intermingled with each other, which I think is just incredible. And tourmaline, pink tourmaline and lepidolite are two of my favorite stones. So I love it.
Right, I agree. I want to know who named it. Who's like, look at this stone, unicorn.
Maybe it was like the idea of like, when like, you'll be like, oh, that person's a unicorn, like you just there's it's almost unreal, right? One in a bajillion. And so maybe when they found it, it was like, ooh, that's a unicorn. Like you just never find that.
Must have been. Lucky them getting the name of the stone.
Right? I want that.
Could there be a Nikki Stone? We'll have to see.
Well, I don't know if I would name it after myself. That's awfully presumptuous of me.
I'm good with it.
I mean, you could name a formation after me, like they find a big deposit somewhere. It could be the Nikki Formation. Like I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Moving along.
So,
Mm.
um, have you touched any past lives in this lifetime that you think have helped you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Well,
didn't
I'm
know if you were
asking our
asking.
listeners, but we can't
Oh,
hear.
okay. Is that how this works? I was waiting. Oh, absolutely. I mean, for sure I have. I'm trying to think of if I want to give specific examples,
Oh,
but
you
I
don't
think,
have to share.
yeah. Well, I mean, some
Yeah,
past romantic relationships that um very much had some lessons that needed to be played out in this lifetime to sort of come to a conclusion. I don't know if I would say in the hopes that I don't intermingle with that soul again. That's not quite what I mean, but not going through that same lesson again. There were definitely some things there. And remembering those past lives and having sort of those eye-opening, those aha moments of like, oh, that explains that or this, and being able to let go of certain things, and whether that was a belief or an expectation or a feeling. And it can be a very powerful experience to go through that. And I think one thing I would mention also is, one of the things that pops into my head when I think of past lives is I think it's important that people like it can be a very powerful tool to examine those things, and very empowering. And I think it's important that we don't use past life things as an excuse. Oh, well, that's just a past life. Like I've got some past life thing with this person, and that's why blah blah blah. Um, sort of like, we can talk about we both had some difficult things in our lives or growing up, and you can point to those as to why you might say a certain thing or behave a certain way or have certain beliefs, but we don't want to use it as an excuse. It can be like a piece of information. Okay, that explains why this, but we don't want to fall back on that as like, well, my life was so hard as a child and that's why I'm this way and I'm just not going to change. And so I think it's just important to keep that in mind when we look at past life things as well. Like you can point to them and be like, oh, so that's why. Okay, that's great. Now let's use this as an opportunity to release something or to let it go or to move on or whatever it is that we need to do with that piece of information. Like put it to good use. Don't use it as an excuse. Ooh, I
well,
just rhymed.
good advice. While we're giving advice, we should say, when you purchase a journey bracelet, we send you an email that has tips on how to care for your bracelet, tips on how to ground your body and prepare what to do when you first get the bracelet, which wrist to wear it on first, to have the download of energy come to you. We also talk about these are tools, right? We
Mhm.
cannot guarantee you're going to have a past life experience if you put it on, or any of the other things that these journeys are about. They're a tool to help you do the work, whether you need to learn how to do things, whether you're working through something. It still takes you doing your highest and best and doing the work. This is just a tool like any other. That being said, with Astral Traveler, probably, it'd be good to really get yourself in a higher conscious space, in a quiet place where you could just be alone and go maybe into a meditation. So, not, don't use while driving, you know, that kind of thing. You want to be in a clear, restive place so that you could try to do such things, right? Um, but it's here to help teach you. I'm just looking at the picture of it again on the website. The
Mhm.
chrysocolla is so big, so chunky. And I just don't think that this bracelet would work the same if it were any other shape or size. It needed to be a big chunk like that to really power it up and make all that purple just go boom, boom. You feel it when you look at it, really
I
potent.
completely agree. Yeah. And what the other thing that I think is really special about that I love that is that it's not that chrysocolla in and of itself is super rare, but to find it in this shape is it's certainly not as common this way. So this isn't something that you're going to see a lot of. And it's a little bit more difficult to come by. So I also appreciate that when I'm buying a piece of jewelry or something that I'm wearing on my body. Like, yeah, this isn't something that I'm going to see everybody wearing. This is a little bit more unique and a little bit more special in that regard.
Well, could we do a podcast on that? Y'all have no idea how many vendors we work with and the searches we go through to find the crystals and gemstones we want and the sizes and shapes and colors at a certain quality level.
Mhm.
It is more challenging than you would ever think.
I
And
know, like, yeah, I mean, you can walk into, like a quote crystal shop and you might think like, oh, look at all this, like, look at all these things. But to find, like you said, the right shape, the right size, the right quality, we need to find more than one strand of something because we want to be able to make more than two bracelets, kind of a thing. It is a challenge.
then even when we do find it, sometimes you're like, okay, this is a good source. But wherever they're mining or whatever they're doing, they run out and it's like, oh, that's all
Mhm.
there is. You're done. So we never know sometimes which bracelet will be the last because you won't be able to find that particular stone for a long time in that
Mhm.
cut or color or thing. So it makes each bracelet really bespoke and distinctive. And because we just don't know with these stones like that. So that's kind of fun and interesting, but also a little like,
It can be challenging, yeah. And you also bring up a good point too, that the fact that that these are all natural. When we look at the pictures, like I'm looking at a picture of Astral Traveler right now as well. And even the one that I'm looking at, the purple geode that's in the middle on the cup, those, we use a purple cup. And because they're all natural, like they're going to look a little bit different. That one has sort of like concentric circles in the middle, which is beautiful. And then we have other ones that are more sort of wavy and some that might have a little bit of a druzy in the middle. So that's Mother Nature. It just depends.
yeah, color variation, everything,
Hmm.
size, absolutely. So, uh, I love it. I love these colors.
Me too.
They really draw me in. And this was a really good one to make. I would say this was we talked a little bit about some of the ones that were our very first original. This was probably our second incarnation,
Hmm.
where we
Hmm.
started branching out into Astral Traveler, ones like that. It's a good one. So again, you can find more information about us on our website, lavishgoods.com. Go there and sign up for our free newsletter. You'll get an instant discount off to shop, and you'll get news from us about upcoming events, specials, new bracelets, what we're up to, all the things. And if you like, follow us on Facebook. We have a private group on there where we talk about this stuff. Instagram, TikTok, where you go. We even post some things on YouTube, I think, a little bit of YouTube action. We'll probably do some
Hmm.
more when we release the spring collection, probably put some videos up there. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a bracelet, please do a review on the website. Contact us if you want through social media with any questions or on our website. We're just looking to talk about journey bracelets and want to hear from you, what you're interested in. Should also mention we have a lot of journeys you can purchase, but there's also custom designs that we do where we make one exactly for you and what you're wanting to work on. You can check that out on lavishgoods.com as well. And thanks again. These go by quick, these little episodes. We hope you're enjoying learning a little bit about each type of bracelet. We'll be back again next week. Thank you.
Bye.